Okay. So let's begin our lecture with a view on the recent pandemic, because drug discovery, you can have different things for communicable diseases and non-communicable diseases. And when we have a disease called COVID or pandemic, so we are also looking at different aspects. And as the good old saying says that prevention is better than cure. And we also have prevention, cure, and crisis management. And preventive management requires some issues which are not only scientific but also having society. But we also have drug discovery, supply chain, hospital management, and policy decisions. I just wanted to tell you that there are a number of issues which seem to be not so much connected in controlling a particular disease, but a large number of completely different dimensions have to be considered to come up with a holistic treatment. So I just wanted to tell you that COVID-19, controlling whether it is drug discovery or supply chain or hospital management or policy decisions, artificial intelligence played a very important role. Probably this is the first time that the crisis of a pandemic or a particular disease proliferating in uncontrolled fashion has got a lot of benefit due to this artificial intelligence and machine learning. Like identify who are at risk and actually in-depth understanding what is this virus, structure, function, what is viral entry process, transcription, translation, translocation, and how do you develop drugs, and how do you do the epidemiological studies, how the disease proliferates. In all these aspects, the medical doctors, scientists, social scientists, computer scientists, biotechnologists, chemists played a very, very important role. Let's now go to the basic understanding that most of you are studying masters or BTech or doing PhD. And at a fundamental level, we feel that the structure has some role to play to elicit a particular property. It may be biological activity or it may be whatever property. So physical, chemical as well as biological properties are determined by the molecular structure. This is a paradigm which shows that similar molecules are expected to have similar properties. But the similarity is easy to say, but very difficult to quantify. Which molecules are similar, which molecules are not so similar, in what dimension they are similar, is a question that people are asking for a long, long time. And there are different matrices that have come. And we need to really take this with a pinch of salt. And there's another concept that I just wanted to tell you, that very simple concepts are very difficult to quantify it and understand. And another concept is, you have a small molecule, it will be interacting with an organism and then elicits a biological response. So like a drug receptor interact, which is required for a drug to have its action. So this can be reduced to a lock and key model. And the concept there is one disease, one target, and one drug. So this is a very simplified concept, which is very, very useful and played a very important role in developing a lot of drugs and understanding. But obviously, it has its own limitations. Now, let us look at the logistics of what is a drug discovery and development. You have a discovery phase, and afterwards you have a preclinical and clinical and post-approval sessions. I just wanted to very quickly tell you that, in very simple terms, how one discovers drugs. Initially, there should be some clue that a particular molecule shows some sort of a trace of evidence that it elicits a biological response. Whatever, it may be random screening, or it may be from natural products, or somebody has found out accidentally. Most of the discoveries in the beginning are accidental or serendipitous. So then you call it as you hit a particular molecule, and that is called hit. And you convert that hit to a lead molecule, which will satisfy certain conditions, and then you get a lead molecule against a particular disease. And then you have to optimize that lead, and you get an optimized lead. And once you have an optimized lead, it means that your so-called in vivo, in vitro tests were done, and then the preclinical tests in animals or PKPD, ADMET, on all these properties that has come. And afterwards, you just have to have an investigational new drug applications, IND. And there comes the FDA approval. The FDA approval will come to start the clinical trials. As I showed in my last transparency, the preclinical discovery and preclinical will come from hit to lead, and the clinical trials will start after you get the investigation new drug application, IND. And there you require a lot of money to conduct the tests. And you have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 clinical trials, and you have a new drug application, which is after the phase 3 clinical trials, and that will allow you to do the marketing. Once you do the marketing, then the post-market surveillance will also come into play. So this entire process will take 10 to 15 years. A lot of money is involved in that. And a typical drug development cycle, if you see the x-axis from this to the bottom of this curve, will take about 10 to 15 years. And then maybe after another 5-10 years, you might, if this is successful, there may be a profit. The expected value in the y-axis, it may be about $1 billion to $2 billion down. And it will take a very long time for a particular drug to give you profits. Even if it is starting after 15 years, if it is a successful drug, to make a successful business model, you will have to recover all the money that was spent on the drugs. And most of the efforts will be not very useful. And this is called the so-called famous valley of death. So you do a lot of research, lots of money is being spent, companies will spend a lot of money, and then somehow the molecule cannot become a drug, and then this cannot be taken to FDA approval. So let us look at why it is so complicated. I always feel that if something is very complicated, we typically say that, oh, that's not a rocket science. What does it mean? A rocket, whatever you do, it may not be very successful. It may fail. But when a rocket fails, you will have a reason why it fails. But for a drug to fail, there need not be any reason. And it is so much more complicated than rocket science. So you also have to see that how a particular disease is manifested differently in different people. A disease cure may have a unique way or a different ways. And generic strategy of drug development for all diseases has lots of limitations. And somehow people are going in that. So let me try to tell very simply that people say that I want to develop a drug for cancer. But cancer manifests differently in different individuals. So a particular drug which was developed to treat cancer in one individual may not really be very effective in the other individuals. Okay, individuals may be a bigger thing. Sometimes a particular drug which was developed for a particular race may not be applicable to another race. There is a huge difference between the personalized medicine and pharmacogenomics. The way in which the ADMET properties are very different for different individuals have become very, very apparent. So there are lots of issues which are involving money, because developing a drug is not just you are very intelligent, you develop a drug. You need to have good partnerships with government, clinicians, pharma industries, research institutes, and funders should be there. And the cost is very, very high, and the pace is slow, and there are different challenges, and solutions are probably available. Maybe crowdsourcing is one approach, and we need to find out what are the important areas that we have to focus and what are the not so important areas we will have to take some tough decisions of go, no-go decisions have to be taken if you want to really achieve the drug delivery. And the whole world is competing. And if India has to really be in that race, we need to really know how this game is being played. The record number of drug trials are expected to utilize decentralized elements in the last couple of years. Whereas we can try to have a conventional approach, but there are many other approaches which are based on different cohorts at different places, and virtual and decentralized components are coming. And then there is a lot of scope for people to utilize artificial intelligence and machine learning in not only developing hits to leads and lead optimization to clinical trials and even post-market surveillance and even personalized medicine. I just wanted to introduce a little bit about artificial intelligence. Intelligence, as I see from the Oxford Dictionary, it was written as the ability to learn, understand, and think in a logical way about things, and the ability to do this well. That's called intelligence. Artificial intelligence may be seen as the study and development of computer system that can copy intelligent human behavior. So, most of the intelligent human behavior which is there, we should be able to see whether this can be subjected to a machine. And most of the things which people thought that they are almost impossible for machine to perform, machines are performing now. And we will have to see that which particular area can be given to a machine and which particular area cannot be given to a machine. So is it possible for a machine to mimic the process of human learning? Most of it, but not all of it. A statistical technique that enables a machine to improve a task with training. And how do you process the data? How do you remember the data? These machines are much, much better. And how do you get the raw unstructured data to structured data? And how do you produce information and knowledge from that particular data? Whether it's human learning or machine learning. These are the questions that people are asking. And people are getting amazing results. The way in which the machine learning, reinforcement learning, deep learning approaches that are coming, it is actually by far much more efficient and cheaper than keeping an expert in some of the areas. However, you cannot replace humans with machines. For example, what is the wisdom? Go, no-go decisions. And other approaches will be very difficult for machine. So we have to judiciously see how the machines will work with humans. That's why I call my lab as the fifth paradigm lab. And we should see that how the human-machine interactions will be very effective in bringing the best results in a given area of research. So most of you might have known about ChatGPT, how disruptive it is, the generative design models, active learning models. There are chemical synthesis, biological testing. Many of these are getting automated. And lots of data is generated where sometimes 100 humans will take about 1 year to generate the data. Maybe some machines are able to generate the data within a couple of days. So there is a huge competition that when human beings are investing their time in doing productive research or development or production or quality control or whatever area of research, is it possible to replace that by machines? So in most of the cases, 90% of what you do can be replaced by machines. But luckily, the other 10% machines cannot perform. So we will have to see that how do we utilize the machines very effectively to address the grand challenges. So for example, I don't want to bore you that you can try to take different areas of research and you can publish papers by expanding the knowledge in that area. I'm not saying that publishing papers will not be very useful for drug discovery, but this is very useful. But this knowledge has to be used and utilized to discover a drug. India, we have published lots number of papers, and many universities have published papers, but unfortunately, India is yet to really do a competitive entry into drug discovery. Only a couple of drugs were discovered some years before, but currently we are nowhere near in the competition mostly because of our logistic issues and also our economic issues. And you can try to take different areas of research. I just wanted to tell you that you can publish lots of papers. And ironically, we can say that you publish papers because you find that these papers are not very useful. You are not able to get money out of that. So publishing papers is neither a necessary condition nor a sufficient condition for you to show that you are working in drug discovery. And there are different areas of drug design and drug discovery. I wanted to go through it a little bit quickly because this is an area where most of you would have come across. Now, we can try to approach drug discovery from a computational point of view or from an experimental point of view. From an experimental point of view, you can have a drug-oriented approach that there are some molecules, mostly medicinal chemists and pharmaceutical chemists. They will try to take a molecule, small molecule, which elicits a biological response against a particular disease. And then you try to keep on making a better small molecule or a biomolecule which can cure that particular disease. Or experimentally, you can try to look at a disease and understand the disease pathophysiology. What are the pathways that are involved? What are the metabolic pathways? What are the druggable targets? And then try to take those targets and then design these small molecules for that. And the whole process can be done theoretically or computationally by structure-based approaches or analog-based approaches. So there are a number of steps that are involved here. I just wanted to tell that there are two important areas. The one area is to develop the new chemical entities, a molecule which will become like a drug. And this is there for a very long time, and it's very important that we have to work on that. There you will have the same hit, lead optimization, in vivo, in vitro, preclinical, solubility, ADMET, and after that you have IND, and then you have clinical trials, and you have NDA. But another approach which is very popular these days is it possible to repurpose the drugs? For example, getting an FDA approval is very tough and it takes a long time. So you take the FDA approved drugs, and this drug might have been originally discovered for or targeting for a particular disease, and see whether the same drug can be used against a completely different disease. And there are lots of success stories in this. So drug repurposing or drug repositioning has become very important. So in drug discovery, there are two approaches. One is discovering new chemical entities or discovering a new action for already known drug, that is drug repurposing. In another area where there's a lot of scope is the personalized medicine. The predictive, preventive, and participatory approaches are also becoming very important. The 4P medicine and AI is playing a very important role. And I just wanted to tell you that there are a large number of attempts that are made in utilizing machine learning and artificial intelligence in almost every part of hit identification, hit to lead optimization, preclinical, clinical, and even post-clinical trials or post-market surveillance. So now, as it is mostly about the computation, I just wanted to tell you that people who does the research in the areas of biology, chemistry, pharmacy, they wanted to really compute the properties of the molecule using some method which will be converted into an algorithm and ultimately a software, and that will be ported on a machine, and then you try to solve problems based on the classical mechanics, statistical mechanics, quantum mechanics, fluid mechanics, or other first principles calculations or machine learning approaches or whatever. So you need to have a large computer which is very efficient, and you need to have a software or a database or a web portal or some apps or IoT-based devices. And that's all what you require to do research in computational modeling. That's what the perception is. So what type of computer modelers are there? This is when we look at, there are some people who just develop theories and they take a pen and paper and they keep on thinking about new ways of developing the theories and understanding the limitations of current principles and then come up with new principles. And another set is trying to develop a method which will use the new theory, and this method will be able to address some practical problems. These are the second category called method developers. And the third category is the method will be implemented as an algorithm and a software program, and then people try to develop softwares based on the method which is based on theory. And there's another category where they just intelligently apply these softwares, and they also understand methods, they also understand theory, and they will try to employ how this particular software can be solving problems. These are application scientists, and probably I and my group and many people who are doing computational modeling in chemistry, pharmacy, biology belong to this category. But in this, there are also some people who are just users. They don't have a very clear idea of what is an algorithm, what is a method. They don't have even an idea of what is the source code. Application scientists should have access to the source code, because if they want to use make some changes in the source code or changes in the method, they should be able to do it. But now more and more number of softwares which are coming, and they don't give the source code. And they are just making many of the research students and researchers are just users. And they just use it, and if they get useful results, that's fine. If they don't get useful results, they don't know what to do. And these people who become like a black box users, they're getting addicted to a particular software. If the software is not there, they're not able to do it. So they are becoming also vulnerable. So this sort of pains me a lot, because for the last 30 years, I'm working on the software. But if software and computer is not there, also we can do some research. But currently it becomes very difficult. Mainly because the software has become expensive. People are selling software, which was not the case about 15 years before. And there's nothing wrong in buying softwares. And if that particular software is improving your ability to think and its knowledge is better. But sometimes you may want to buy a software and it's too expensive, you cannot buy it. Or the software sellers, they will not give you the source code, they will just give you the software. And somebody like me, I may not be very much interested to buy that software because I don't know what is the method, how the algorithms are put. If I wanted to make some change in the algorithm, we cannot do it. So this has become more of a norm these days. So this black box thing, which are often the method and algorithms are not clear, if we try to use that, the academic community will have a lot of problems. When source code is not available, it's difficult to incorporate any change that you want to do in a method, in an algorithm. So I strongly feel that in India, especially, we have to strengthen the human resource across the country in computational modeling. And it's important to inculcate the culture of writing our own codes, our own softwares. This is very, very important. And my group is working for the last 15 years in developing software for drug discovery. So instilling the mindset to write and develop software is absolutely important. And that will improve the employability of the people who are working in this particular area. And currently, we are in the era of digital computing, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. So we have to understand that if we don't really develop our own methods, it becomes really tough. So we have to have ideas, we have to formulate, we have to collaborate, develop, assess, and after we assess it, then we have to share it to the funds. People may be wondering that, oh, I am from a biology background, I don't know programming. Now it becomes very easy if you have a strong will to do it. And even some generative ChatGPT can also help you in writing a program. Only thing is, you need to have a strong desire to write a program and utilize the programs that are there. And these particular opportunities that are there in the current era will make anybody with a +2 to graduate level knowledge to in any field. It may be biology, it may be pharmacy, it may be engineering, or it may be chemistry, physics. They will be able to effectively write some codes and programs. And I'm very, very sure about it. What contributes to better comprehension in understanding and analyzing competition drug discovery results? We have to have input and we get output. But most of the time, when we try to correlate what goes into this conversion of input to output, it's not very clear to people unless they are interested in this. So we have to realize that it's not a single step. The input will give so many steps are there in between. And if you understand what are exactly these steps, what are the methods that are involved, what is an algorithm that is used, and what exactly is the problem that you are going to solve, it will be very difficult to take it to the output. So my group has started working on developing this software called Molecular Property Diagnostic Suite to get the properties of these molecules. I will go through it a little bit faster because if somebody is interested, I will be very happy to discuss with him, and most of it is published. And I have this idea almost about 20 years before, but I did not want to discuss this till or start working on this till 2011 because it's very difficult to convince people to work in a given area. So, especially when this area will not lead publications, when this area requires a lot of hard work to be put in to develop a software. And we started in 2011, and a large number of people are involved in this. And we published our first paper in 2017, the MPDS paper, which involved about 50 Indian authors in Indian journal. And afterwards, we published a few more papers on diabetes mellitus in some foreign journals also. And afterwards, we kept on working till last year. And I'm very happy that in 2023, we were able to make some good progress and we published 2-3 papers and which I will discuss about it. And now this particular software, the molecular property diagnostic software, which was there on tuberculosis, diabetic mellitus, and MPDS COVID-19 was just accepted in a journal called Gigabyte, and molecular diversity, 2 papers were accepted, which describes about compound library and fragment library. And we also have written a review on our expert opinion in drug discovery, which talks about the philosophy of our molecular property diagnostics. So this is a completely indigenous software, where for the first time we decided to have a software which is specific to a particular disease. And the software will have 2 components. One is a disease independent category and the other is a disease independent category. The disease dependent category is very specific to a particular disease, but most of the software tools can be used irrespective of the disease that you are working on. So they are called in the disease independent category. And we are now trying to develop that. And we have been using the Galaxy platform, which is very good in integrating a large number of programs. And this is a completely open source initiative. And we are very happy about it. That's the reason why we have used Galaxy as our main platform to develop this particular molecular property diagnostic suite. And I just wanted to tell you that we introduced some terms like every molecule will have an Aadhaar card, and then we have molecular properties of all the molecules were put in this. And we also have some advanced modules which are incorporated. Actually, these are all the results of some of our publications, and we published something on developing an antiviral model, and an algorithm is developed, and then this was put into MPDS. Like membrane permeability is another algorithm that is developed based on the research publication from our group, and the toxicity prediction, protein ligand interaction analysis. And there are a large number of such models which are there, and they are available. This is actually the latest website of MPDS COVID, and some of you who are interested, they can go through it. And this particular paper is just accepted. This is also available in bioarchives, the molecular property diagnostic suite for MPDS COVID, which is the latest version, which have a large number of modules. I'm sorry I'm going a little faster because talking them in detail will take much more time. And we have one very important component in that MPDS. This is independent module, that is a compound library. And this particular paper was also published in 2023. And we also have a fragment library that was published in 2022. What these two modules do is, the entire chemical space for the first time was divided into structural classes. And this is done for the first time in the world. And we have an indigenous database, which is a lot more superior to 30-40 other databases that are available in chemoinformatics. So we have taken the 42 available databases and then try to structurally classify, where we try to divide this chemical space into different classes, and classes we try to trim their size to a smaller number of molecules in a particular group, and we call them as clusters. And a particular molecule will have a unique ID that, as I already told, this is MPDS Aadhaar ID. We pool these molecules from 42 million, 42 different databases. Now it's about 150 million compounds are there. This is the number. And now it is 153, which we have recently updated about a couple of weeks before. So this particular software is also an attempt towards Atmanirbhar Bharat, because this is something which is available in India, and then we are making it so that we don't have to depend on somebody else. And the other side is, we have a responsibility that we have to update it every 6 months. That's what we are doing. And I'm very happy about it. The fragment library is also there. I just wanted to very quickly say that you can really work in different areas, and this knowledge will be helpful. We are working on software development, on database development, AI/ML applications. We're also looking at this protein-protein interaction, polypharmacology, and SARS-CoV-2, and some mathematical modeling and computational chemistry and material science. And the group is very active. This is a database which talks about the cation aromatic interactions. This database we published about 15 years before, and we updated it, and then we published the same journals in proteins. And we are trying to look at different drug repurposing strategies, as I mentioned before, with polypharmacology. And I just wanted to tell that lots of work is there. And if some of you are interested, they can download these papers. And if you have difficulty, you can write to me. And I'll be very, very happy to send these publications, and then see if some of you have any doubts, we'll be able to discuss. So protein-protein interactions are coming in a big way, and we can do large MD simulations to get more insights into this. And we also did some mathematical modeling to see the socio-economic impact and the health interventions in different countries after COVID. And I just wanted to close this so that I can take some questions. And also, I just wanted to tell you that there are some databases that were developed. This is a very important database called Oshadi, which is the most comprehensive database of all pan-India medicinal plants. And this is the largest database. This is probably the best in the class. There are some databases that are there, but this is by far the most comprehensive. And we also have published something for the first time, open access database on the medicinal plants of Northeast. This is the first of its kind, the NEI MPDB. And we are also looking at these protein-protein interactions and developing some machine learning tools. We are working also in some related areas. All of this is possible because we have a strong group. Many students have worked. And this is just about 5 years before I went to Jorhat as a director, after working for several years in ISCP. And before I went to Jorhat, this is my group. After Jorhat, we have started working in whatever that you have seen is a continuation of the efforts of my IICT and Jorhat days. But now I have come back to Hyderabad. I just wanted to tell you that when I did my PhD postdoc, I was working mostly on theory, which is called second paradigm in science. And when PU means Pondicherry University, I worked for 5 years in Pondicherry University before 5 years as a postdoc and PhD. All my training is in theory. But when I came to IICT, I focused more on modeling, computational modeling, and I went into biology because I was a chemist and I was in IICT, I was probably an applied chemist and working in interdisciplinary areas between chemistry and biology. But when I went to Jorhat, I focused mostly on computer science and applications and software development. And this is called probably the fourth paradigm. Now, when I came back to IIT Hyderabad, I joined Biotechnology department. And now I'm working on how we can combine all these four paradigms, including experiment, to get some more meaningful strategies to address big questions, big problems in science in general, and definitely in drug discovery. With this, I would like to close, and then I will be very happy if any of you have any questions.
Sir, we got some questions in a message box from Srinivas Bhaskar. It's created the question, how AI will help in chemical composition and drug discovery?
Chemical composition, yeah, and drug discovery. Drug discovery is a huge area, and there are a large number of components in it. At every component, artificial intelligence play a very important role. Artificial intelligence is a big term, and a smaller one is machine learning or understanding. Or you can look at text mining, image processing, and how do you, for example, if you want to take any decision, you need to have a data. And the data has to be converted into information and knowledge. And this is most effectively done by experts in that particular area. Artificial intelligence will come up with more rigorous and time-tested tools to convert this data into knowledge much more efficiently than other procedures. And there are so many algorithms that are in the artificial intelligence.
Yes, sir. I think Bhaskar is have clear questions. And other question is, sir, what type of challenges and limitations of using AI in drug discovery facing, especially a challenge?
Basically, every technique will have strengths and limitations. We should understand what are the strengths. The strengths is it's very fast. And you try to process some information which can be done very, very quickly. But however, the limitations are, if a particular thing has to be done experimentally, the artificial intelligence probably will have difficulty to do that unless that particular data is not. And artificial intelligence will help us in designing your experiments. There are people who think that, oh, AI is for theoreticians or modelists, not for experimentalists. AI can also be used for experimentalists because experimental designs can be done with AI. Many times we come and then we want to design some experiments and we want to do a few things. So in that process, AI will play a very important. And these AI models will improve when there is more data that comes from reliable sources. These reliable sources are experiments. And sometimes there are some errors in the experiments that are there. And we also have to see. So there are biases that are there. So when you have a data, we also should know that which data is in data science or artificial intelligence, you have volume of the data is very important. As the volume is bigger, you will be able to very effectively work. Velocity of the data, how much of the data is coming. More importantly, veracity of the data, how accurate it is. That's very important. And variety of the data, value of the data, or whatever it is. These so-called V's in data science. So the data, if it is not a good data, if the veracity is questionable, you may develop models which may not be good. But however, the models can always be improved. This is an advantage that you have. You may have a model, and if this model is not good, you can always keep on improving as the volume of the data is increased. Is it okay?
And another one question is AI different from pharmacogenomics, which is dependent on molecular biology and gene sequence analysis? There's a from Dept.
Absolutely, they are different, but they are having some overlaps. Can you say that is physics different from chemistry? Chemistry different from biology? So, for example, AI is a technique in some way. Pharmacogenomics is a particular area of research, and AI can be used in that, but they are different, right? Classification.
Yeah. More question I found, sir, from Sai Krishna. Prediction of drug effectiveness is reliable using AI alone. How drug development can be taken as an effective drug formulation?
So this is a very good question. Predictive models can be developed. And we need to come up with ways of validation models. How do you validate a particular model? That's very important. And for that validation, experimental validation is something which is very important. And there are other types of validations that one can come up. And the way in which things are going on, the AI methods are becoming more and more efficient. You may not get very accurate predictions, but these predictions are by far the best that is available in the market. And definitely they are going to improve. And these models cannot be ignored, the AI models. And the AI as such is going to stay there. You may like it or you may hate it, but you cannot ignore it. Whether it is in drug discovery or aircraft design or share markets or whatever. AI is playing a very important role in just about every field of natural sciences, engineering, and medicine.
So there is a many more questions. So Paul,
I don't mind answering. Where some questions may be very easy, that they may get answers. They may use
Dr. Rajesh Shukla. Am I audible?
Answers.
Am I audible?
You are audible, yes.
Yes. So this is a Dr. Rajesh Shukla, Department of Pharmacy Professor. First of all, I thanks respected VC sir, Mangalayatan University Jabalpur, Professor K.R. Sambasivarao sir, and Pro VC ma'am, Vinita Kaur Saluja ma'am, for inspiring us and encouraging to conduct this webinar and made us take it further. After that, we are grateful and would like to heartily thanks to our today's guest and speaker, respected Dr. G Narahari Sastry sir, Professor of Eminence Department of Biotechnology, IIT Hyderabad, and also former Director CSIR-North Institute of Science and Technology, Hyderabad, Telangana. It is a great privilege, sir, that the respected sir joined us today webinar, who gave a fantastic and informative session and addressed on artificial intelligence in drug discovery and development. We thank you very much, sir. Thank you to all the students of pharmacy and forensic science students of Mangalayatan University, and also whose students are participated in outside the university and outside the state also. We are those attentive during the webinar very well. Last but not least, at the end of the webinar, I would like to thank everyone who's joined the webinar, my colleagues, academicians, dear students again, and also request today's speaker, respected Dr. G Narahari Sastry sir, to continue giving such wonderful and informative webinar in the future. Dhanyawad sir. Really very informative session was today. And AI, AI is a very popular in new era for the drug discovery, science, and technology. So it is really very informative session, sir. And we are really fortunate to have for today sessions as a speaker. Thank you, sir. Hello.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Samsara.
Thanks, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Namaste, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I'm logging off. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Again,
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thanks.
sir. Again.